The darker side of the rise of women's sports, with more visibility comes more online harassment. New York. For Janiel Taylor, attending WNBA games was the perfect way to rediscover a sense of community coming out of the long slog of pandemic-era lockdowns. The 38-year-old Evanston, Illinois resident has regularly attended Chicago Sky games for the last 3 seasons after she watched the team win its first championship in 2021. As a queer Black fan, she felt the games were a supportive and safe sporting environment. "I was hooked, and I loved the atmosphere. It was very queer-friendly, very family-oriented, very diverse," she said. As the popularity of the WNBA skyrocketed this year, Taylor watched the price of her season tickets more than double since 2022. With the growth, she noted a darker vibe shift too. What always felt like a positive setting started to take a more hostile turn at times. As women's sports set new records for attendance and viewership, Taylor and other longtime fans watched with optimism and unease. It's a cycle female athletes and fans of women's sports have come to recognize. With the increased and sought-after visibility also comes added scrutiny as well as harassment and online abuse towards some players. This year, fresh off the NCAA spotlight, former college basketball stars Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese made their WNBA debut for the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, catapulting their personal brands, as well as the popularity of the league among viewers. "Fans are tuning in for the love of the sport as they always have," said Amara Rose Davis, assistant professor in the Department of African and African Diaspora Studies at the University of Texas, Austin. But they're also drawn by the dynamics between players like Clark and Reese, who faced each other in the 2023 NCAA championship between the University of Iowa and Louisiana State University. While both deny there's any bad blood between them, tension has been drummed up by fans and increased media attention. Beneath it are racial undertones that originated while the two played in college, with predominantly white Iowa pitted against predominantly black LSU, and Clark and Reese emerging as these kind of archetypes that people can run with, Davis said. "That really raises the engagement and just the raw numbers of viewership, and then it also solidifies those narratives," she said. "It's also led to harassment and abuse, much of it racially motivated and directed at players of color across the league and the wider sports landscape. Angel and Caitlin have given us an incredible platform to talk about how we treat Black and white athletes differently in the media," said Ed Fightmaster, co-host of Jocular, a podcast on the intersection of women's sports and queer identity. During the playoff matchup in September between the Connecticut Sun and Indiana Fever, the Sun's Deidre Nye Carrington posted an email she received with a racial slur and graphic death and sexual assault threats. Her teammate, Alyssa Thomas, shared her own experience. "In my 11-year career, I've never experienced racial comments like from the Indiana Fever fanbase," Thomas said after the Sun eliminated the Fever from the playoffs. For her part, Clark has disavowed the toxic discourse, though some say she hasn't done enough to try to rein in the racism by some of her Indiana Fever fans. "People should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable," Clark said back in June. "Treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think it's just a basic human thing that everybody should do." At the end of the 2024 season, after facing some criticism for initially failing to condemn the harassment, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said there's no place in sports for this and vowed to attack it multidimensionally.